from New York City, is one of the best lawyers in town. His name is Arthur Dahlia. I mispronounced it last time. Idalia.
I like an
I
dollar
dollar.
bill.
Like dollar
Attaboy.
bill, of which you charge many. Okay, I got it. All right, let's run them down. Trump case. Would you have filed this case? Would you have signed on to that case?
Uh, Here's the truth. You want to talk about money? Most of those cases you take on as a lawyer on a contingency fee. So you
Right.
say, I'm only going to get paid if I win. I would not take that case on a contingency fee because I think you're correct. I don't think they're going to win. How during the discovery process, they may be able to get that transcript as part of evidence, as part of the discovery process. And unless CBS is successful in putting some sort of a gag order on that evidence, some sort of, it's called a protective order, Trump can then release it and achieve the goal that he may want to achieve. They may actually dismiss the case after that. Okay, we got what we want, we're done. But as a lawyer, you better make sure you're getting paid up front because, as you said, Mr. O'Reilly, the First Amendment gives a lot of protections to the press, as it should. So I don't think ultimately he would be successful, even though they went to a venue where they knew the case was going to a judge that would be sympathetic to President Trump based on his political leanings
Sure.
and the fact that
But you
Trump
said
appointed.
you said they might be able to get the transcript. They'd have to be able to get it because
Yes.
that's the crux of the case. The judge couldn't deny Trump's lawyers the opportunity to see what the case hinges on. That would be impossible, right?
Unless they won a motion, a summary judgment motion to
All
dismiss.
right,
So
that's a whole different thing. If they got the case thrown out and they filed last week to get the case thrown out, do you think
right.
it's going to get thrown out?
It's a close call. I mean, most cases are not a close call, but it is a close call because the First Amendment it really safeguards the media from being bullied
I don't
or
think it's going
really
to get thrown out. I don't think the conservative judge in Texas is going to throw it out. No. And
not
if he
only they
doesn't
they
throw it
out.
out, CBS can't appeal that rule, and that it has to go forward then, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, they're also asking for it to be moved to New York, the venue where CBS is located, and they may not get that either. So if it
Yeah,
does stay where it is,
why would a conservative judge be sympathetic to CBS?
right?
They're not. It's like the Florida judge in the Mar-a-Lago case was sympathetic, thought it was an overreach by the Biden administration to go after Trump like that. Okay, let's get to the shooting of the CEO, the United Healthcare CEO. So far, I think the authorities have handled it very well. From the Pennsylvanians who got the guy, and then the New York cops went out, they got him here. Evidence is overwhelming. If you were the defense attorney, you'd be up against it, correct?
Yes, I would definitely be up against it, and but this is where you have to get creative. I just want to go back to the police work because I did speak to Chief of Patrol John Shell yesterday, and he wanted to make sure that citizens got credit that they deserve. This was a lot of old-fashioned police work getting his picture out there, but then the citizens were the ones who really helped. But the cops were they were on the verge of getting his DNA. They were on the verge of getting his fingerprints from the cell phone. His DNA was from a bottle that he dropped at Starbucks that they saw, and they were able to get that bottle. So he was, on his way to being in some big trouble. Bill, in terms of a defense like this, where he has a written confession on him, a lot of the job of the defense attorney, any defense attorney, is to make sure everyone plays by the rules. All of his rights are observed and maintained and stood up for. And then you write a book on his life, and apparently he had a bad operation that affected him. And you hope maybe the prosecutor says, all right, as opposed to 25 to life, which is what you're going to get after trial, we'll give you 23 to life and save us the money, time, effort, and energy.
2 years? Nah. I don't think this
What are you
guy's
going
ever
to do?
going to get out. I don't think he's ever going to get out because it was so blatant and such a horror. A message has to be sent. But I understand you're trying to mitigate the sentence to some degree. Hopefully,
Exactly.
the guy can rehabilitate himself. I might even go for insanity on this guy. He's pretty out there. So maybe if I'm the defense attorney, I'm saying, He doesn't know what he's doing. That doesn't work very much, though, right?
It does not. It very rarely works. And
Yep.
the other thing people brought up is there's an excuse called extreme emotional disturbance that takes murder down to manslaughter. So you can
Manslaughter.
get out.
Not going
There's
to
a
make that.
definitive sentence.
Right.
But
He,
yeah,
wa-
that
he
has
was
that's your
he was
passion.
in the videotape. He's just too cool about what he's doing and all that. He's not agitated.
Meditated. It's
Right.
very, very planned and premeditated.
All right. So Arthur Penny, then we go into the last case that we're talking about here. I predicted this. It wasn't a hard prediction. I still have faith, even though it's New York City and the folks, that they reasonable doubt all over the place. But the key question is the district attorney in Manhattan, Alvin Bragg, a George Soros progressive, okay? He knew there was reasonable doubt all over the place because the police had interviewed the people riding in the subway car. Bragg had all of that information in front of him. He knew that his odds of getting a conviction were low, and he did it anyway. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but you showed that clip of the angry supporters of the deceased here, and that's the constituency that obviously Alvin Bragg was trying to
But that's
please.
political. That's not justice.
Well, Bill, unfortunately, the days of Frank Hogan, the Manhattan District Attorney, and Bob Morgenthau, where politics was not supposed to play a role, are gone way out the window.
All right.
And these
Any
decisions are
chance Hochul removes Bragg now? Fires Bragg? No
Are
chance.
you kidding me? She's afraid of her own shadow. She's going to take down the first
Well,
African American district attorney in Manhattan.
her approval rating's 35%. Her approval rating's 35%. And after the congestion parking, it's going to be 25.
She does not have the intestinal fortitude to do so. What's insane to me, Bill, is people out there are trying to compare the crime that this Luigi kid did to what Daniel Penny did. And that really gets me upset. It's ridiculous.
But again, that's just loons. I mean, I don't even bother. All right, counselor, it's always good to talk with you. You can listen to Arthur on his own radio show, the Arthur Idala, as in money, Power Hour on AM 97, The Answer in New York. So have a nice Christmas, and thanks for helping us out. Really appreciate it, Arthur. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for all you do for our country. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, new poll by Scott Rasmussen about Hunter Biden's pardon. First question. This week, President Biden pardoned his son for all the crimes he may have committed. Do you favor or oppose? Favor 30, oppose 62, 2-1, oppose. Not sure 8. Second question, President Biden has said Hunter Biden was unfairly targeted by prosecutors for political purposes. Do you agree or disagree? Agree 37, disagree 54. And then there's a footnote to Rasmussen's research. 46% believe the Justice Department unfairly targeted Donald Trump. And 42% disagree with that. Okay. Now, there are two big media obsessions. One is deportation of undocumented people, and the other is, will Trump take revenge on the people who tortured him? Those are their obsessions in the media. Okay. So Trump goes on Meet the Press on Sunday, yesterday, and here's what he said. Go.
Is it realistic to deport everyone who's here
illegally? You have no
illegally?
choice. First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
All right, that's an interesting statement. So the criminals are toast. All right, they're going to be gone. If he can catch them, if the federal government can track them down. But he didn't say he's going to break in the doors of peaceful, undocumented people. He goes, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a long process. It's going to be so many lawsuits. It's going to be insane how complicated it is if you are a non-criminal. If you're a criminal, he'll be able to get rid of you. Trump will. Now, I've done some analysis on this that you might find interesting. So if I'm President Trump and I am sworn in on January 20th, on January 21st, I say every mayor and governor in the country must cooperate with Homeland Security. And if you don't, we are going to charge you, the governor or the mayor, okay, or the sheriff or whoever it may be, you don't cooperate, with obstructing a federal investigation, which can be a felony. And then to make my point, I would send the head of the FBI, wherever it may be, probably Kash Patel, himself to California, wherever, to put the cuffs on the politician involved. You got to have the evidence. You got to have it. But and read that person their rights. I'd bring cameras in. That's what I would do. We're not playing anymore. That is my analysis on that. But what do I think is going to happen in the end? I think a lot of criminal aliens will be deported. I think Mexico will cooperate and put their troops on the northern and southern border, which will cut down the caravans and all of that, and the drug smuggling. And a lot of the wall will be built, and that will calm down. But interior, with the 15 million or whatever it may be, every state official has to cooperate or they get charged. Make sense to you? Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. All right, so I'm getting a lot of mail about why Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State under Donald Trump, 2018 and 21, isn't being considered for Defense Secretary, a job he could obviously do. There are two reasons now. I told you I would investigate, and I have. And I found two reasons. The first one is that Mr. Pompeo has been a little bit critical of Donald Trump. Roll the tape.
First, if the allegations are true, and there's lots of indications that they are, President Trump had classified documents where he shouldn't have had them. And then when given the opportunity to return them, he chose not to do that for whatever reason.
Okay, so Trump didn't like that. But the second and biggest reason is that Pompeo has been a very ardent supporter of Ukraine and American military aid and money into Ukraine. Trump's not there, and he doesn't want another John Bolton. You remember that John Bolton, national security guy, was very, very bullish on interfering in foreign situations, and then Trump fired him, and he turned on Trump. So Trump fears that Pompeo, if he lets him back in, would do the same. That's it. Take it to the bank. And thank you for the letters, by the way. If you want to know about something, let me know. I'll find out. All right, Syria, Assad is gone. He ruled that forlorn country for 24 years. Been there briefly. Horrible place. You don't want to go. So the army wouldn't fight for him anymore. He got on a plane, went to Moscow, and Putin gave him asylum because he's been cooperating with Putin for 24 years. Putin's made a lot of money in Syria, by the way. If you read my message of the day about Putin, this guy. But can you imagine getting asylum in Russia? Is that really where you want to stay in the rest of your life? I don't think so. And he can't go anywhere. Assad can't go anywhere. Any other Arab nations wouldn't take him. Bad, bad guy. So right now we have a U.S. base in eastern Syria. Keep an eye on ISIS. ISIS is going to try to exploit this. We don't know the new leadership, but they don't have any power other than booting Assad out. They're former jihadists. Turkey is the main driver there. But Israel, obviously, if they don't like something, they'll come in. But this is good that Assad's out of there. Horrible, horrible. Now, the best summary I read was on Global Post. You get everything you want to know about this in one page. So you know that there are foreign news partners, Global Post, and they've offered a half off for all No Spin News watchers and listeners. It's globalpost.com. Okay? I think it's $23 a year. Well, you just go look at it today and see what they have. It's really good. So if you want international foreign news, and they're not shading it, it was just fact after fact after fact. I learned a lot. And it took me 6 minutes. Okay. Colleges dismantling DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here are the latest. University of Utah and Weber State in Utah, University of North Texas, University of North Florida, University of Missouri, University of Michigan. Whoa! They have one of the biggest DEI machines, and they are now cutting back, saying you don't have to make a diversity statement when you apply for a job. First step. Not woke, first step. Okay? Colleges, why are they doing this? Because enrollment's down big time. According to National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, kids aren't applying. I don't think the big reason is the woke DEI nonsense. I think it's the money. So it's $80,000 to go to some private universities now. It's ridiculous. Absurd. Totally insane. Okay? Don't do it. Go to a state. You'll get just as good an education. So that's why I think is happening there. But it doesn't help if you come from a conservative traditional home. You can't walk onto the College of Yale. You'll be scorned and shunned. Your grades might be affected by it. You got to know where you're going. All right, California raised the minimum wage to $20, okay? And it was centered around the fast food industry. So, according to the Employment Policies Institute, we always back up our stats here, 6,000 fast food jobs have been lost in California in a year and 3 months. 6,000. So McDonald's, Taco Bell, In-N-Out Burger, they're going, we can do the same with less. But here's the kicker. AI coming in, and they're not going to pay people $20 an hour. So instead of keeping the minimum wage where the fast food joints can make some money, no. Virtue signaling, and now the industry is cratering. Los Angeles, I love this story. Listen to this. Los Angeles Times was once the dominant newspaper on the West Coast, all right? It had like 500,000 a day circulation. It's now below 100,000. It's just nobody pays attention to it because it's a far left journal. It's a progressive journal. They don't make any pretense about covering the news fairly. They cover what they want to cover, but if it's not a story that fits in the narrative, they don't even cover it. So it's owned by one guy who's hemorrhaging money. His name is Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. Okay? So he's installing, and I don't know how this is going to work, in the Los Angeles Times newsroom, a so-called bias meter to see if his own reporters and editorial staff are being unfair. And he's using AI to run the bias meter. Now, I don't know whether the readers of the newspaper are going to see that or how they're going to see it, but I've never heard of this before. But a bias meter run by AI being installed in the Los Angeles Times. I'm keeping my eye on that one. Now, why is that necessary? The culture in almost every newsroom in this country on a national level is left, far left. That means if you're a MAGA person or you're pro-life or you're even conservative, you can't work in the newsrooms. You're shunned, isolated, won't get promoted, don't want you there, okay? When you have that kind of peer pressure against you, who's going to walk into that? Now, when I worked at ABC News and CBS News, both of them were liberal when I was there. Peter Jennings, kept a cap on it. Now, nobody knew my political point of view, back when I was a correspondent for ABC News. I was a reporter. I didn't put any politics into any story I ever did. None. CBS, same thing. Nobody knew. I got hired at CBS, Dan Rather, because I did well at Channel 2, the local CBS station in New York City. Anyway, Rather wore the liberalism on his sleeve. Everybody knew. Jennings, not so much. They knew he was socially liberal, but he was disciplined, Jennings. But now that's all gone. It's all gone. You have to be left or far left to work in these national news agencies, with the exception of Fox News and Newsmax. Okay? And News Nation, which is, I think, the strongest of the trying to be balanced of all of them. Okay, and I work there on, Monday you'll see me with Leland Vittert and Wednesday with Cuomo. But they've tried. But if you're in the network situation, there's no way. And that's the culture. New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Boston Globe, Atlanta Constitution, same thing. Very dangerous for the country. Smart Life. This is another interesting story. So now the average American, all right, has a credit card debt of $10,757. How precise is that? This comes from Wallet Hub. Wallet Hub's pretty good. They do some pretty good research. It's a personal finance website. Wallet Hub, one word. So $10,757 what the average American owes to the credit card companies. Why? Well, greed is one reason. No impulse control. I want it. I'm going to get it. If I can't afford it, I'll just put it. I'll pay the 18% VIG. 18% you pay in these companies. But here's another one. So I walk into a deli on Long Island the other day, and I wanted a ham and cheese sandwich. Ham and Munster cheese with a little bit of mustard on a roll. $14. Are you kidding me? $14. That cost the deli, just in the food, the roll and the ham and cheese and the mustard, cost the deli about $5, maybe $5. They're charging $14. So I'm watching now. Why are they doing this? In the deli, it was 80% urchins, teenagers in the local high schools there. That's who was in the deli. They had all of them had the debit cards. And they're getting anything they want. They don't care what the price is. They're not paying it. Boom, 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 boom. That's why. And their parents have to pay off the debit card. And a lot of these parents are, hey, do whatever you want, Sally. Hey, Sean, get whatever you want. They don't care. And then they get the bill and they can't pay it. That's what's happening here. Smart Life. All you have to do is step back before you put that credit card on the little gizmo. Say, do I really need this? Is it worth the $14 for the ham and cheese? I bought the ham and cheese sandwich, and I ate it, and it was decent. I won't do it again, all right, because that's ridiculous. Smart Life. Got to control the spending. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.